I have to know.
Okay,
So I don't have it. It's not coming sheet. I would have gone plus it.
Because in the pictures.
I didn't know.
There it
You know. Thank you.
Yeah, to use it as, and I told her about the arts committee that we put together, and I said, I think you might like to see, come to some of the meetings, so I told her I'd let her know.
Here's the big part.
It's usually, she's may not be an artist herself, but going to a bazaar, and she's holding
Just, are we going through each other?
I don't.
But, because you know, we may have.
Okay, all right, yeah.
There's so much. Tonight at the last meeting. You want those straight?
Yeah.
President here, Neil. Right, subject.
It's a stuff.
Because we used to sing the dance about that.
Kristen.
I was feeling that. Here, I'll go get a signature. Yeah. And there's a picture. Yeah, I'll get it. Take this one. Thank you. I think she's gonna be. Well, Kristen's kind of tall.
Hi.
Well, she's annoying. That was That's yes.
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 I'll check it out.
Yes.
That's, okay. Yes.
Oh, yes, it was. Sorry, I saw that. Okay, yeah.
My grandson's in the postcard. And today. And has people from the post. But that's the training.
Okay.
It's over shit. Will they follow? Who knows? That goes right home.
Just.
I'm not rushing you, I'm just saying.
We're all set.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We're gonna start the meeting now. It looks like our Zoom is up to speed, so same with us. Welcome to the Lucy Robbins Wells Library Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, June 10th, 2024. On recording, I'm going to start with a roll call. Elizabeth?
George Bernacco,
Here.
Andy Brecker,
Present.
Anna Eddy,
Here.
Pam Canary,
Here.
Pauline Crook, Iris Larson,
Here.
Leanne Mankey,
Here.
Maureen O'Connor Lyons,
Here.
Chris Riley, Neil Ryan, Christine Shushin, Diane Sam,
Here.
Fiona York, here, Lisa Maston,
Here.
Karen Benner,
Here.
Sheila Rowell,
You asked, I didn't.
David Nagel,
Here.
and Kim Rada.
Here.
Both done.
Right, thank you. Any public participation online at this point?
There's not.
None? Okay, and I don't see any public in the office necessarily, in the room with us. I'll move on to town council liaison.
I don't think we have anything.
We're meeting tomorrow.
Right, we
So
are.
see us in a few days.
Watch on TV.
Not, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You can zoom in. Really nothing much more since the last.
Related
meetings.
to
Yeah.
anything that would affect the library, but we have been reminding them that we've been going through the process, of trying to get something presented and possibly go to referendum.
And what that process is, that there are several steps before it even, the presentation even comes to the council.
Okay. Great, any questions for town council?
No, I don't have to.
No questions? All right, secretary's report, Iris Larson.
I have a report.
All right, I'm looking for approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any questions or points, corrections for last month's meeting?
I have a correction.
Anna?
So, under the fund development report, there's something, please, there.
You could speak up, it's easier to carry on them.
Under fund development, it says, update on fund initiative. Anna gave this report at the 5K race meeting. That kind of confused me and kind of vague, so, I thought that I, reported that the proposal to do the stack the racks promotion for the 80, in conjunction with the 85th anniversary was withdrawn. And that's sufficient.
Okay,
It's more tangible.
any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
So. Maureen. I'll second it.
And Maureen, okay, any further discussion? No? All those in favor? Leanne abstains, anyone else abstains? No? Anyone else? Great. Thank you, motion carries. We're gonna do a quick review of the annual activities committee. June is always kind of a busy meeting with a wrap up and a couple of things before we go into our summer hiatus. It's in fact, we get a summer hiatus. We don't, for the newer members, we do not have a normally scheduled meeting for July or August, and our annual meeting is in September. And usually we go over the end of the race dates. Added to that, we have our push for the referendum for the library renovation, do we, don't we, what goes on with that, so. I'm gonna quickly go through the activities. I'm going to ask that when we go through our committee reports, if we can keep them brief, or we will be here for quite a long time this evening. And then I might, if it is favorable for all of you, move the facility and site, which is where we'll discuss the referendum. Just, you know, to the end of our communications, our committee meetings. Are folks comfortable with that?
You're gonna move it to the end?
Of the committee assignments, yeah, so I'm just gonna skip it until the end of that, and then we'll get into the old business and other items. Yes. Okay. So, June, 5K sponsored thank you notes. Christine, did you say that you were doing this? No?
Yeah, but I need to get the information, so.
Yeah, I have to send that to Christine, so I'll do that.
Whatever, I'm not gonna be able to do it until next week.
Okay, so by the end of this week, I'll send.
Yeah, fine.
I have a question, you're doing sponsors and door prizes, right? So Fiona doesn't have door prizes.
No, yeah.
I know, so I'm working on it with Michelle, and she's been out a lot, so.
I can create my list and maybe send that to you, and then you can add your stuff to that.
That'd be great.
Okay. So we have the nominating forms that we'll, pass out and collect tonight.
They're passed out.
They're passed out, they've been passed out when you guys came in. Well, we should talk about our annual meeting and how we wanna set that up, if we wanna do entertainment or not. And then usually we talk about staff appreciation, but we just did it, right? So this is our off year, so, we will be doing that next year.
And one of the other things.
Right? Okay, so moving right along, we'll go into the treasurer's report with Leanne Mankey. Leanne?
I sent out the report last week. It's pretty straightforward. I have not given you a final tally on the race because I'm still awaiting $270 of receipts that were processed through the Friends cabinet. I
Yeah,
guess.
the race.
Yeah.
The race.
So that I'm waiting on that, and also I still have some visa charges that haven't come through yet. In our expenses.
They just came through.
On the bill. Yeah, that. So once I have that tabulated, I'll have a 5K set for us. I mean, all in all, it was very successful.
Round numbers?
The numbers are reported, the checking account, $64,182.96. Money market, which is the restricted funds, $41,179. The Kingston non-investment stands at $269, $236.52, and the restricted unrestricted breakdown is on the lower part of that, as well as, the investment portion is reflected on, Neil's report. I have the, in terms of insurance, or the fiscal year end is June 30th, so I asked for everyone if they have any kind of receipts or expenses that have to be updated or put in, that I have all that, so that I can close the new fiscal year. And then I will start processing for the taxes. The, insurance has come up over the course of while this committee is relatively inactive. The management, directors and officers has been renewed in May, and the general liability, crime, and business owners policies are all end of August, beginning of September. I'm in the process of filling out those renewals now, and they will be taken care of before our September meeting. Other than that, that's about all it is for treasurer. Okay.
Not to put you on the spot, not to hold you to it, but what are round numbers for the 5K race?
I really haven't, I gave it in a file,
Okay.
and I'll look at it when I get all the pieces. I mean, we had some substantial, we had the gifts from some of the larger donors, obviously, that come through, and then, we had some expenses that were a little more than expected, like the t-shirts and things like that, but, I'm still, like I said, the piddly stuff is coming in.
Okay.
We did have a lot of race receipts, so that was great, the numbers were good.
Thank you. Any questions for Leanne? There's no board members online, correct?
I know. Pauline was.
Okay. All right, thank you. Library director's report, Lisa Master.
Okay, so summer reading for adults kicked off on June 5th. We had 232 adults sign up that day. The kids and the teens summer reading kickoff is this Friday from 5:30 to 7:30 or 7, like 7. So it's an after hours program here. And then the children's department our teen librarians have been visiting the schools, the middle schools and all the middle schools and the elementary schools to promote summer reading. They went in and did a blitz over a couple weeks, so that's all done. And then if you see our new footnotes, there's a ton of programming coming up, so we're in full summer mode. And thanks to the grant from, that Chris Riley put us on to, there's gonna be a lot of nice science programs this summer for kids and teens to participate in. We ordered new, chairs in near the new book area with grant money that we had gotten to replace the ones under the atrium and the ones that are all in the new book area, because they're all pretty worn out. So those should be coming probably in a month or two. And our consortium is doing a strategic plan update, so I was interviewed by all the directors are working with the executive board to work on doing, updating the strategic plan. I had my 2-hour interview last Friday, so well, that's really all I have.
Could you, send out your May report,
I did,
YouTube report?
oh, the May
The one that
is
was attached was for the previous month?
right, May's not due till Friday. The May
Oh,
report is due
okay.
Friday. They're like 2 weeks, yeah, it's 2 weeks into the month, yeah.
I have one
Yes,
question. I thought at one of the previous meetings that, somebody asked about the statistics that you provide on the report.
Yeah, I'll do that starting in the fall.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
All right, any other questions? No? Next up is the Assistant Library Director's Report, Karen Better.
The Friends Scholarship Committee awarded 2 scholarships. This was their first year that they had these scholarships available to students, who are volunteerism at the library. Dylan Anstel and Madison Conforto were each received a $500 award. I'm not actually sure if they're attending the Friends meeting, but they will be honored there and receive their award. So we only had 2 applicants this year, but it's the first year, so high hopes for more. We're also hiring 2 new substitutes in our circulation department. The People Counter project that we've been talking about and reporting on for the last few months is completed. Facilities and IT did a great job. We have our software and we are just getting up and running with that, so that's a good thing. I think, had mentioned a few months back that we were going to have someone from the police department come to our staff meeting and present on give us some tips on de-escalation techniques. So that's happening next week, the week after. So we're
No, you're right. That's-
we're looking forward to that. And that's it for me. Thank you.
So with that, door counter thing and stuff, that will help with all of our statistics.
It'll give some more accurate account of number of people entering the building.
And, this Wednesday is the annual meeting that the, folks will be awarded their
Yes.
scholarships, and it's Friends annual meeting, so if anybody has the time and, availability, it's in this room.
That's right.
Starts,
Seven.
starts at 7:00, so if you wanted to come to the Friends annual meeting. What day is it?
This
Wednesday. Well,
Has there been any incidences of like escalation or police have been involved since?
No,
Not really.
I think it's the comfort level for staff that, you know, well, we've had incidents of unattended children in the library. Parents are one place in the library and their young children are in different places. And we've had some, parents get really angry at staff. So, you know, that kind of thing, the mentally ill that we have sometimes, but I think it's to really help staff to how to try to de-escalate it quickly. So.
great. And I know, Sheila from the Friends said she couldn't be here.
I have something for her.
She's
She,
gonna have something. Great.
they have set their date for their fall book sale. It's October 25th, 26th and 27th. There was a really great article about the Friends in Newington Life, if you haven't read it. And their annual meeting, they're gonna have a speaker. It's, Marty Podstock, who's gonna talk about the Connecticut 169 Club, your passport to, and guide to exploring Connecticut. So he's gonna be their speaker.
I'm sorry, what is he gonna talk about?
He has a book that's called, the Connecticut 169 Club, your passport and guide to exploring.
Oh, to
Connecticut. So they're gonna do their, annual meeting and then honor their, people that they're recognizing. They have a friend of the year and then they'll speak.
Great. Okay. Any questions for Sheila or Lisa? No? All right. Move along. Committee reports. Budget, we're good with our budget, right? We usually have, meetings later. I did not get a report from Pauline or a notice that she wasn't gonna come. Did anybody hear from her? No. Okay. So for Pat, just a reminder that, she did pass out evaluation forms for the director. And if you've got them filled out, you can pass them in to me, I'll get them to her, or you can hang on to them and pass them into, Pauline if you see her, but we don't have a lot of meetings going on, so, we'll go from that end. If you did not get either a paper form or something from her in the email, let me know, and we'll make sure that you get the form to go through. Pam, I'm really looking forward to your responses.
Yeah, I'm not.
Just, it's a good idea for you to see the form.
Yeah, I
And
saw
then you
it.
know when it comes through and, what happens from that end, so I'll say that. For Paul. And then investment, Neil, is not able to make it tonight. He did send out his report. Does anybody have questions on the investment report? And I believe he did not, confirm it, but he was looking to set up a meetings and it looks, investment committee, meeting with Dean Spada. And it looks like it's gonna be 6/26. Was that the date that seemed to be going through in the emails? So I know we'll have that. House committee, the lamps that we approved last month have been purchased and put into place. Thank you. Just in time for the fall dark season. As that goes through. And really, a lot of what goes on now is, the work orders and stuff. Carolyn McLean worked very well with, the town in terms of getting some of the outdoor stuff up to snuff and ready to go, for our 5K race. And, we had a little last minute help from Scott. Who I actually have a picture weeding, some of the areas on, Saturday, but didn't get done, but what can I say? We were there. I'm going to postpone the facility and site. I'm sorry, does anybody have questions on house? No? Okay, thank you. Fund development, Anna?
Yeah, so I have brief report. So two things. We have made a decision collectively that we're only going to send one flyer within the footnotes mailings. That flyer will be in the fall to, for better timing for year-end donation. And, at some point, Lisa and I talked a little bit about which kind of flyer, to send on. I think we're going to use the ways to give flyer and probably just expand on it a little bit. So I'll be sending that out and, I mean, we'll just print it in-house and it'll be part of the, is it October news, October footnotes?
If you want it to go in October, it should go out, it has to be done by August.
Yeah, so we'll do it over the summer and we'll just, if somebody has anything radical, we'll make the changes and we'll take care of it. I think we'll probably in-house print 500 copies. Yeah. Is that what
We could print them on just colored, it won't be colored, we could do that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not gonna be a professional printing. But it's just a reminder to keep, keep the concepts in front of people's minds. And speaking of the footnotes, one of the things we developed a few years back, when I was the sponsor coordinator, is staying in touch with sponsors. I just always felt awkward approaching a sponsor just once a year. So what we do to stay in touch is we send them the footnotes when they come out. And I've been doing a cover letter with that. It goes out with Diane's signature, whoever's president will get. Yeah, they wouldn't know, right?
Don't bring that signature to the bank.
So, Lisa keeps keeps a master list of, legacy donors who are still alive or their families who are, who are involved. And so they get the letter and, our contact people for any of the sponsors. So it's a small list, about, 30, 35 names
Probably a little more with the businesses.
with the businesses. So, it's a small list and she does the mail merge and she sends it out. They also get a copy of the dining partner ticket with the footnotes. And it's just a way to stay in touch and, massage that relationship with them. And, I think, it just makes it easier when we approach them, later on in the year to say, no, we're back. So, and I just wanted to, because there's so many new people on the board now, have the new members aware that that goes on in the background and it just happens.
It just happens.
It just happens. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's easy, it's basically, because I just take the footnotes and I just, this last letter was, we had a very successful 5K raise. Thank you all if you were a donor. Oh, by the way, I closed with, save the date. We have 2 annual events coming up from the George G. Hanel, endowment fund and, filled in, a couple of the highlighted programs for teens, for children and, the summer reading stuff. And, so it all comes out of the footnotes and it's pretty easy, but it's, I think it helps. At least I hope it does. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Anna? I have to keep turning my head to make sure I get everybody that's down, I'm not worried about anything. They'll speak up if I miss it. Okay. Next, nominations, Maureen.
Okay, it's that time of the year again. We've all received the, both electronic.
Yeah.
And hard copy. We indicate which committees you'd be interested in participating, either as a member or a chair. Those are actually assigned after the annual meeting, the committee assignments are done. We also ask that you, if your term is up in 2024, and that is, those people are George, Iris, and Chris, the 2 newer members, because they took over positions. Indicate that you'd like to continue your membership on the board. And then also, if you are a corporate member, indicate your interest in running for an elected office. So president, secretary, vice president, and treasurer. In the interest of the transparency and full disclosure, I have been vice president for a long time. I am not interested in pursuing that, so that's an open position. I can't, well, and Iris, we're going to give up. So right now, vice president and secretary, well, they're all wide open, but the 2 of us are stepping down. I can't. More open, right. I can't speak for the president or treasurer, but they're all up for grabs, as they say. So that election takes place at the actual annual meeting. And then post-annual meeting, once the officers are in place, the committees will be assigned to the membership. So if you are so inclined, you can fill those out and give them to me this evening, or do it electronically and send them to me.
By this evening,
Pardon me?
by this evening.
Well, if you're gonna do it, if you wanna do it tonight, you can give it to me, otherwise, just make sure we have it in time, by August. Just send it to me.
Okay.
And then I just like to offer up, we have done some moving with positions, so even if you are not a corporate member today, if you have some interest in serving on the executive committee and you're a town appointed person, whether it's this year or the next year, just raise a hand, make a note, so it would be something you would be interested in, it's something you're interested in maybe in 2 years or something like that, if you feel like you have a little bit more, time under your belt on the committee, but, the way that the bylaws are written is that a corporate member is an executive officer, but we can sometimes move things around when we have openings or whatever, if we know that somebody is interested in taking those offices. So don't feel that, because you're a town appointed member, that you couldn't move into one of those positions. It just takes a little bit more time to set up. So anybody who's interested, certainly, raise your hand or quietly write it on your form, so we know that we can start to do that. I will also say that the president and the treasurer have been in place for a long time, so I think you've heard me in other meetings state that, we are looking for other people to, step up and take other positions, so,
I'm not wedded to this job. So if someone is interested in it, I'm not adverse to continuing on in the position. However, it would not break my heart if someone stepped forward and said they really want to be treasurer. I will also throw out that little, not a carrot so much, but if someone is interested in doing that, it's not like I'm gonna walk away and hand you a box and say, you're on your own. I'd be around to help you out.
and then the
Big
one.
box.
Yeah, there's several boxes actually, but.
And so the way this works, although you wouldn't know it if you've been on the board recently, is you put your name in under any of those spots if you want them, and then, we tally things up. But I'd be open to any kind of discussions. I'm a little leery of having all 4 people step down at once, even though it sounds like they would remain on the board. I think there's a little bit of, transition that can go on. But every spot is open. And at the annual meeting, we'll hand in the ballots for, the names of the people that are interested in those positions. Anna?
Can I just say, that Leanne has done a yeoman's job organizing the treasurer's documents. She's taken it to another level with, having electronic records or QuickBooks or something, right?
And
And
it started it prior to me, but I just,
you've organized it all and she's researched all of those small specialty endowments, so she knows how things are tracked now, and I think it's really well organized, and it would be easy for somebody to pick up and carry on with it and do their own structure with your template.
as I said, I'm not wedded to it. I won't say I'll, if you need me, I will continue on in it, but like I said, if someone else wants the job, I am not gonna hang on to it like this.
If I just may interject, and, to your statement, Diane, we need new blood. Those of us who have served on this board for many years have, at some point, you take the position because nobody else would. And that's not a way to do it, and I've been vice president for a long time. Those of you who are new or newer, I was also president for 3 terms in the past. And never treasurer. I don't remember, I may have been secretary, I don't know, but there's more of us on this board, and all of you are just wonderful, you contribute smartly, and there is nobody on this board that can't do, an executive position. So consider
With
it.
the exception of me doing the treasurer's stuff, because you don't want me.
Well, I said,
Everyone has their strength.
I said I was president, secretary, vice president. You notice I didn't say treasurer. I don't have enough fingers.
Okay, so, sincerely think about it. You're not ready for this year, think about, where are you a year from now? Is that something that you would go into and look for? So Thank you. The only other thing I would say is that the 5K race really is for everyone. Right, you need a doctor's note from the bride and groom or the graduating senior or whoever when you miss the 5K race. I mean, life happens, there are big events that happen on that date, but really the kickoff meetings, setting up, getting things done, that's there. The Hanel and the Friends, we like to have folks involved in that and going through. It's nice to be able to share it and move around, but
Oh, let me explain about the Friends liaison. So the Friends meet, every month. They take only 1 month off in the summertime. And, this is, Sheila Rowell comes to our meetings, we attend their meetings. But what we've done to give more board members exposure to what the Friends do is that whoever signs up in that slot, we do a rotating schedule, so you might go to a Friends meeting 2, possibly 3 times in a 12-month period. And, you know, if something comes up and you can't make it, there's enough of us to, you know, to switch off with. And it's just a good way to introduce yourself to the Friends and to see how they operate and, you know, what they do behind the scenes for us in the library. And it, you know, we just show up. I mean,
there's
you know,
no homework.
there's no homework. You know, I mean, if you remember to share something with them, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay too. They do a pretty good job keeping track of us too.
Okay, and then just the Hanel liaisons, that's people looking for a cultural venue that will fulfill the Hanel legacy. We're supposed to do 2 of those a year, so if that's something, talent search, if you will, that you're interested in, that's great. Okay. That communications, Fiona?
Yeah, so I'm working on a press release about the race with photos. I'm wondering though, my idea would be to include like total funds raised in the release, but, so I'm wondering if I
I
should.
can go back and give you a general count.
Yeah, that would be great. It doesn't have to be,
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't have all the expenses at this point, but primarily they're smaller.
In Newington Life, we have a whole center full of pictures already.
yeah,
Yeah,
they did.
yeah,
So
I don't.
I just was thinking it would be nice to have something out there with like total funds, like what we. We don't want.
Discussion, folks? It's fun to read the faces as you go across.
I think it would be more appropriate saying, you know, how many participants.
We were
In
successful.
the different
We
categories
had
or whatever, but
Yeah,
not like how much money we raised.
we have breakthrough attendance and.
Yeah.
Registration.
Maybe number of sponsors.
Yeah, number of sponsors, some of, or name the sponsors.
Yeah,
whatever.
maybe one more.
But I wouldn't give the amounts that they gave, I would just say that these were the sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, that's it, that's all I got.
Diane, would this be an appropriate point to talk about my proposal to allocate $1,100 as a quasi communication?
Sure.
I sent out an email to everybody with a suggestion that we become a sponsor of Parks and Rec programs in June. There's a gold sponsorship for $1,100 that I think would help us with our marketing campaign for Reimagine Library. We'd be the sponsor of the animal petting zoo. And we could get a banner up with our logo, maybe a new tagline like your curiosity place, whatever that, all these taglines can change throughout the year. We also get a 1/4-page ad in the Parks and Rec program brochure for the fall, which goes out to 13,500 households. The whole point being that people start seeing us in more places and get more familiarity with, oh, the library, even if they never come here or use it, which is part of a sustained communication, marketing, promotion strategy. So I think we should consider it. The only question I have, and I can't answer it, is it too late? I got this out of the Rare Reminder on Thursday. But these programs begin, I believe, this Friday. So I don't know if they're still available or if we have time to get our act together, but
Hasn't their June program already been published?
the June flyer,
Yeah,
yeah, no, you're talking about the summer program.
I guess.
Yeah, that flyer's already gone out, so we would then be in the fall.
And what would the settings would be?
The weddings will be now, but I don't know if it's for the truck events, for, we've got two other things in June. Newington Goes Country and help me out, what's the other one?
The food truck.
Food truck.
Yeah, Newington Goes Country.
Right, there's two
is
food truck
Thursday,
Fridays.
And then Food Truck Friday, I think is Friday.
Right, so that's where we would get some publicity.
And the publicity is our logo?
It would be, we could have a banner, right? I think we have something that says,
If we have a quarter page ad in their fall brochure, we could put anything.
but what do we have to hang at the petting zoo?
Oh,
We have something, and then we get the announcements on the PA. And to the extent that the mayor continues to get on the radio and pump up Newington and Parks and Rec, we would be mentioned along with the other premium sponsors.
Well, I have comments, but I'll wait for others to.
And then, of
ask
course,
or participate.
I'm not bashful about saying that this could help repair our relationship with Parks and Rec, which has not been great for the last couple of years. And frankly, $1,100 equals about 1 month's earning in our investment fund. I think it's an appropriate expenditure.
Andy, what kind of repair do we need? Parks and Rec does things for the library because that's their job. It's
Well-
not magnanimous, you know.
I think our complaining about their taking up our parking spaces has created a rift with Parks and Rec management and the Parks and Rec board, which thinks that we are selfish.
I have a question.
Two-way street, that's all I'm gonna say.
I agree.
I guess I'm having a trouble understanding about the timing element. If things are already in place for June, how do we get the petting zoo, the food truck, whatever, in terms of if we can speed up a banner, because we don't really have one to put out there. Our banners, I think our banners are primarily like race specific. So I'm just wondering, are we missing the brunt of the advertising opportunity by coming in at this point?
Well, let me amend this. If it is unworkable for us to get this together for the June events, then let's make it for the extravaganza.
It's already June,
Well, the extravaganza is in July.
well, July,
Right.
the extravaganza.
Right, right. So if we can't get this done for June, then we take a premium sponsorship for the extravaganza.
And each event that Parks and Rec does, it's a separate program and brochure.
Yes.
So the
They
extravaganza has its
hustle as
own.
many sponsorships as they can get.
Right, but the extravaganza would have a separate program for what's going on this month. Okay.
So is the $1,100 gonna carry us through in the fall, or is it every month?
This is a one-time expenditure. For a one-time promotion.
I think I would prefer something like if we're in the fall brochure that goes out to 13 to the parents.
Right, that's what it will go on.
But if we do an extravaganza sponsorship,
It's still the fall brochure.
No,
That's the next one.
the extravaganza is in July.
Oh, the extravagant, okay. So those of you who get the brochure of Parks and Rec programs, right, and take a look at it. Some people do, some people don't. I believe they come out 3 times a year. Spring, fall, summer.
It's 4 seasonal.
They have a winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So forth. So what they're offering, let me see if I can call this up. What they're offering is a quarter page ad in the Newington Parks and Recreation brochure mailed to 13,500 households printed in one seasonal guide. I suppose we could pick the season we wanted.
So it would have to be fall at this point, because summer's already passed, so that came out.
I
this
mean,
month,
we could be
but yeah.
winter if we wanted it to,
Right.
but I would think fall would be when we would want it.
Well, I think fall is, you get more bang for your buck in fall because of the parents finding programs for their kids.
Mhm. Again, it's to
Yeah.
get our name out there, our presence out there to a different audience.
So I have a couple of thoughts. One is, if we're just putting our logo out there, people know the town has a library, and I don't know that just putting the logo out there or the logo with a tag sale really helps us. If we were to have a picture of the reimagined library that said Newington Library Reimagined, then I think that feeds into our communication and, trying to get people geared up if we're on the referendum and things like that. I don't think that there's anybody that lives in Newington that doesn't know that there's a Newington library, whether they use it or not. And I don't know that having a banner at a petting zoo that says the library is gonna get that message across.
That's a very good point. Here's the counterpoint. What are our avenues to publicize ourselves, to become front of mind, to get people to be reminded, the repetition of the library? I see the library everywhere. Keeps coming up. Whatever I'm looking at, I'm seeing library. This is a very important component of a sustained marketing program. And yes, some of these things might be unusual, but we're gonna have to spend some money to get people to want to vote yes. And one of the ways to do that is to get in their face in a multitude of ways. Is this ideal? No. Is it worthy? I believe so. I mean, I'd love to hear, if anybody else wants to spend $1,100 this month on a way to publicize the library, give me your suggestion.
So again, I don't think a logo publishing thing helps us at all. I don't know if we're at the point to put something else out there, if that can go through. I'm not opposed to publicizing in different town publications, but again, just the library logo, I don't think we're getting enough bang for the buck on that. I think we have to begin to tell a story. And that story needs to be, reimagining the library. Rather than, hey, the library's got money to fund Parks and Rec.
Okay, well, let me make a motion and we can vote on it. So I move we allocate $1,100 to the Newington Parks and Recreation Department to be a gold sponsor for the upcoming June special event. Or if that is not practical, to then become a sponsor at the same level for the extravaganza.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Anna seconds it.
I think,
Any further questions or discussion?
I think there should be more discussion.
Well, now that it's been brought, we can discuss the motion. I'm just kind of spitballing here. I'm trying to think timeline, potentially, if council recommends this for referendum, we still have quite a bit of work to do before we get to that point. But timing wise, we should have an idea by August, whether it would be going forward, do you think? Just, I'm looking at the people who know, because you guys know all those.
So, for it to be on, referendum, the town council needs to send it to the state of Connecticut no later than September 1st. So
Okay.
I would say we're in the August timeframe of yay or nay, move forward.
Okay, so keeping that in the front of my mind, and thinking about what you just said. Potentially, if we were to get on board with the Parks and Rec mailing programming for September, when all that comes out, to have banners, publicity, however you want, and I'm not a marketing guru, but to turn around and say, something along the lines, very simple, reimagining the library with one of those graphics that just kind of puts it out there, very simple. And then we put that forward in the September mailer with the idea that if this does go to referendum in November, that would be a way of putting it out there. Reimagining the library or, you know, growing the library or whatever, and a visual. Not a whole bunch of words, not about whatever. We would be paying for the sponsorship with Parks and Rec. And it would be right in front of face while people are signing their kids up for fall sports and programs and everything else. That wouldn't put us in the July aspect. We're still too soon in July regarding whether this is all gonna go forward. I don't wanna shoot us in the foot by putting it out there and then it doesn't happen. And that's just, like I said, I'm just spitballing that as a potential amendment to this motion.
I think that I like the idea of putting the graphic of something that's created. Could we potentially have a landing page that people could go to see more of like the images and that kind of thing, like learn more about the reimagining library?
Just like I said, I'm not a marketing, but something simple that doesn't take 87 years to read. Wow, look at that. I want to go look at it, or I want to ask them to learn more about it. That's just my thinking.
Anna had her hand up and then I'll come to you, Ken. Yeah.
So to piggyback a little bit on what Leanne's saying, I mean, if we wanted to get the biggest bang for our buck on this, and it sounds like we won't know until August, if we're going to referendum. I don't know, it might be something that we sponsor a program for winter. When would it, when
November
it
goes to referendum, it's the first week of November.
You gotta have it in.
Yeah, so I don't know that it would work, because if we did an ad in the September brochure and said, you know, the reimagined library is coming, support our referendum on such and such a day, we won't know that they need to print, they need to have all of their materials ready to print early on, and we won't have that decision made. I don't think that we'll have that decision in time for their September brochure. Their September brochure is probably going to be, you know, going to the printer probably in July. I mean, I'm just guessing, you know, I'm just speculating, but you know, it's the whole thing is timing. I mean, I like the idea. I mean, maybe part of what we do is, I don't know. I mean, I hate to suggest staffing a booth at the extravaganza, because it's usually the hottest day of the year. But, you know, people walk around, you know, we have our materials there, and all we need is one big picture. We can have, you know, one logo behind us. You can even drape it with one of the table skirts. You know, we don't even need a banner, but, you know, but we need to know what we're doing and what's going on so we can talk about it. Are we going to know by the third Saturday in July?
Remember, I'm coming at this from a different point of view than everybody else here. You know, like, we're not going to referendum in November. We don't have a good plan. We don't have good numbers. I can't imagine the council agreeing to spend whatever these tens of millions of dollars are, with the impact it's going to have on taxpayers in town, with the paucity of information that we have right now. So I'm looking at this as a sustained 12-month project to promote the library.
So
This being the first step in
So the
on the
message
series,
becomes-
what we talked about last time, Fiona, which is, this is not a 3-month sales job.
Right.
You know, this is conditioning the market to be more receptive to the plan once we can bring something really worthy of bringing to the council.
there's a reimagined library coming.
Yes.
So maybe it's not a rush if we don't know what's happening.
Well,
Go ahead, Chris.
I pretty much agree that if you wanna put it in somebody's mind, you should put it in their mind at a big event. And the extravaganza is a big event. And you can say, you know, this is the plan, this is what we're hoping to accomplish, you know. See what we're doing, give us your ideas, what do you really want? You know, have forms for people to take and fill out and say, mail it back in, or give it to me today, or whatever you want. But it has to be out there long enough where they will jump on board. It's not out there long enough, they're not gonna say yes. Just like with the schools, they're not gonna say yes. They haven't seen the issues or know what the issues are. So.
Kim, want to say something?
No, you did.
I did, but it's an answer.
So, can I ask a question, Andy, for the gold sponsor, like, what would you, I'm just thinking of the extravaganza, what would you get? What, I mean, what
I
is
don't
it?
know precisely for the extravaganza, because I haven't seen the publicity for it.
Oh, man, you can find it, I got it, you got it?
You get a 10 by 10 plot, there's no electricity,
That's it.
Yeah, we don't want a booth. We want to sponsor something that
Yeah,
don't
is there
tank.
some-
we don't want to,
Yeah, something
The
that kids,
extravaganza?
yeah.
we don't want a booth of handing out and asking.
Well,
you
Well, booth is a whole different level. You gotta
right.
staff it, you gotta have collateral material, you gotta do a lot more things that we don't have.
We just want to sponsor,
The booth would be next year, before
Right.
the referendum.
We want
Right.
to sponsor something that people see
Right,
in a different location,
We want
and we
to-
want Parks and Rec to thank us
we want,
over and over again for being a sponsor, which is what they do. You know, they get on the radio, they got a Steve Parker show.
but we
Yeah.
want, but as you were saying, we want to start planting the seed and start repeating.
Right.
And, you know, and by next year, we do a booth.
Right.
They'll look, oh, tell me more. I've been seeing about this reimagined library.
Right.
What's going on
See
with it?
pictures of the possibilities, see,
And by then.
because
it's
a
gonna be-
lot of people just say, oh, we have a really nice library. That's the end of the
Well,
statement.
And one of my thoughts was with the sponsorship, whether it's, I think it would have to be July at this juncture. That it's like the springboard for future publicity,
Depending on what we can.
depending on what is
decide.
happening. I mean, there's no decision made. Andy has a decision, but there's not really a decision yet that this is not going to referendum. That remains to be seen. That's a question. But regardless, we can still use the sponsorship in whatever creativity we can come up with for the actual ad.
It's just that way.
Yeah.
I think there's multiple events upcoming, we should call Parks and Rec and say, what's the next available event available for
You
sponsorship?
also wanna make sure that you wanted to. I mean, a children's event might be more, that might make more sense, something that's related to families, I would say.
Right.
Rather than
You
like,
don't want the beer garden?
no, I don't. That's exactly what I was just gonna say.
But what are they gonna try to walk by the sign?
Do you think the sponsorships for the extravaganza are already spoken?
Well, I think they'll probably take
No,
money.
they'll take
Yeah,
10.
they'll take money, yeah.
Oh, okay, so not just one sponsor for the
Oh, no.
student slide.
Andy, do they put a sign or something? I can't remember. They put a sign in front of the, whatever you're sponsoring. Is that what they do?
I mean, they have, yes, yeah, and I believe they have a sponsor board. But I gotta tell you, and one of the big attractions of this to me is having Bill DeMayo doing those videos, right, on Facebook or wherever, thanking us for our sponsorship. I want to see that.
George, you have a question?
We should probably
We have
allocate,
to call them and ask, it doesn't say.
allocate funds for promotional items and do this campaigns. I mean, we need a banner, so we should have a banner ready, maybe some flyers for the future. It should be some,
I mean, this is difficult because we don't meet over the summer,
yeah.
We can, maybe we should.
but
But I don't think we need a banner. What would the banner say? Newington Library or?
Oh, yeah, just-
Robbins Wells, I mean,
Lucy Robbins Wells Library, I mean, we don't have a big green banner.
no,
It's,
we've had
can we
banners
cut up a
made
table?
for,
That's good enough.
well, we've had banners for occasions, like the 75th.
Yeah.
The Friends have a banner?
Yeah,
Can
75th.
we borrow it?
But it says
Sheila?
Friends of the Library.
Yeah.
So it says Friends of
We're
the Library.
friendly.
So here, I think there's been a couple of ideas that have been played out here. I don't know that we're quite ready for a vote because I think we need more information or we need to change the proposal to be, as George says, a way to prepare. We need to allocate monies to prepare for any marketing campaign as it goes through. There's no reason that we can't have a vote if we get more information on what it takes for the extravaganza and stuff. I still say that a library banner sitting somewhere doesn't get the point across that we want them to pay attention to what's happening and what's coming down the line. And if it in fact does get approved and go on the referendum, which we've been hoping for a long time, this year rather than next year, then we're that much closer to the game rather than just saying, oh yeah, isn't that nice? The library's there. Gee, I wonder why the senior center didn't, do this. Where are all the other departments in town that are?
Do other town
we-
departments?
But if we vote on having the funds to just sponsor the next upcoming Parks and Rec event.
I really want to know what it is. I feel that it's a waste of money if it's just a library banner. I think we have to.
No, I don't think it's a banner. I think it's the
Imagine it.
being like how we have those sponsors for the race, there's recognition, the library helped, sponsor this event. I agree about I think that there's more to it than just the banner though. I think that's
It's
what,
the banner, it's the mentions, it's the brochure.
right. It creates like a collaborative nature between the departments.
Well, someone should probably get the information as to what you.
So
It probably depends on the event.
Yeah, I'll get it tomorrow.
I have to say that the website for the extravaganza with their sponsorship information is needs some work because
Atrocious.
it's vague.
Yeah.
And it's not clear. They have sponsors. This is what it says, show your support for Newington Parks and Rec and the fine residents of our beloved town by becoming a sponsor. Maximize your visibility by choosing to be a platinum, gold, silver sponsor. Doesn't tell you what it is. All of these sponsor packages include a free space on Corporate Road, as well as many other benefits, but it doesn't tell you what the packages are.
And here's why. So I just texted the mayor. And here's his response. Good evening. Yes, of course we do. I asked, do you still have sponsorships available for the extravaganza? I can make it exactly customized to whatever sponsorship you have in mind. Let me know what you want and we'll work and we'll follow up and we'll make something work for you. I'm paraphrasing. And have something that you'll be happy to go with. Yes, we can find all kinds of sponsorships and surprises. So that's the way it works.
And
Right.
they wouldn't.
Tell me how much money you want to spend. I'll tell you what we'll give you.
Yeah, and they wouldn't, dictate what the, verbiage would be in the ad. I mean, we could say, well, whatever we
So-
want, they're not gonna say this isn't the venue for, expansion, library expansion, for instance.
If we were a printing company, we'd say, get all your printing needs here. We can say whatever we want.
Alright, well, I don't know. how they,
Get your reading needs here.
Yeah.
If you want to sponsor the little train that goes around, that's kid
Oh,
friendly.
yeah.
But it's not, you have to know what the cost of everything.
I know, but we can start with that. How much
So
would it
should
cost?
it be, I don't wanna spend all night going through this, should it be that, Andy or whoever, or Andy works with whoever to nail down more of a proposal and gives us exact information, what an ad could say, how big it is, when would it go out, what happens, what would we be sponsoring, what would the cost be?
I would think they.
What do we need to do, what do they need to
Say,
do?
oh, that's what all this money goes for, is to pay for the fund. That basically, the fundraising all year, I think I have that right, Kim, Dave,
that basically all this fundraising.
One thing I'm not a liaison to is the Parks.
But I think the whole thing is raising the $30,000 or
Yeah, I think
$36,000.
That's
For the
the
park.
huge expense.
Yeah.
So
It goes to their special fund. It
Right.
doesn't go back to the town. It goes into their cost in addition to what the town provides for them to go.
So where does that money go? A special fund?
They have an enterprise fund or something along those lines to run programs. And also they fund, I don't know if it's separate or not, or incorporated in it to go towards paying for the fireworks.
So is that reported on? Do we know what the monies are,
Oh,
what
yeah.
comes in, what goes out, what's spent for what?
I would imagine they would have to have an accounting of that
They would.
for the board and.
it doesn't go through the town, is the point. It's that's done through the Parks and Rec Board and their enterprise fund. So
I believe they're accountable to the town in
Yeah.
terms of money.
the town holds their money.
Yeah.
Right, basic bills. So let me amend this once more, sorry. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, I can't help. The extravaganza is probably gonna cost a little more because it's a far bigger event. So can I say $1,500, which would include the banner or whatever? And let me see what we can get for $1,500 and I'll pitch you another proposal.
So I would rather know, I'd rather have you do the research ahead of time and then come back to the board and say, this is what we figured out, this is what we can do, this is what the library gets for doing this.
Okay, so let me make it simple, so we don't spend all night on this, which is, if you agree that we should allocate $1,500 to get the ball moving. And we have confidence that we're gonna figure out something that we're all gonna be happy with, get everybody informed and vote yes. If you're not sure that you wanna do this, and you've gotta see everything and every detail before you vote on it, then vote no. And I call the question. Which means let's vote.
We can do this.
So
We
the
already
motion
seconded
seconded,
the one initial vote, yeah.
I need another second
Oh.
for his amended vote.
I will.
Second,
Are you gonna
And a
do,
second it again.
whoever, I will.
All right, any further discussion on this? And the amendment, the amendment, request for vote is,
Andy moved to allocate $1,500 to an extravaganza sponsorship, of which he will get information of what that money would get the library at this, for the sponsorship.
so we're not actually approving the 1,500, we're approving you to look into what we would
We're
get.
approving the 1,500, everybody's happy with it.
Should we say up to 15?
That would be not to exceed.
Well, I'm
Yes,
Andy.
up to
they
1,500.
could say it's 1,000.
So at this point, you would go forward and make all the negotiations and spend up to $1,500 into the library.
Well, I'm not gonna do it without polling everybody. But I don't know that we need to call a special meeting. We can email,
We can do
and
it
if
through
everybody
email.
says I agree, it's already been approved. That's the difference.
can I just throw something in one of my emails, I suggested that we have a separate meeting a week from today to go over the race recap, because I don't think we're gonna have sufficient time tonight. And between now and then, you could do your investigation, and we have that meeting on the 17th, we can just bring it up then and
An official town meeting,
have a, huh?
it's not an official town meeting, right?
So, but we can just get a sense, and then we can just put it into the record that,
Yeah, that would be a race committee meeting, not an official board meeting, but
but we can just get a sense if everybody's going to approve it, we can ask questions then. And then we can send it out and make it official by email. I think that we can do an official vote by email.
we can do an official vote later.
All right, so
So that if you have a meeting next week, that's an official meeting, it needs an agenda.
Well, that's what
The
I'm
race
saying,
committee.
is it a race committee meeting? And then you're just asking
You have an
questions.
agenda that has to get presented to the town council.
for the race committee,
We've been doing that for years, a couple of years now.
That's why the race is,
It's not a-
meeting is on, Friday, Mondays before our meeting,
Just for the race, not other committees, right?
just for the race committee.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
I believe we'll defer to our town council members, but I believe any meeting that has a quorum.
Yeah.
Isn't automatically an official meeting. So if we had a committee meeting, and what's our quorum, I mean? 7,
It's.
whatever it is,
13, 7, 8.
I
but
still,
whatever it is.
I know, I'm just being disturbed because I don't understand why a race committee meeting has to be.
But it has
official.
been for,
I know, but I never thought,
It has been since we went on Zoom.
I understand that, but I don't know why. Nobody's ever explained to me why.
Is it because the whole committee is the membership?
Yeah. Okay, so, where are we on this?
We need to vote.
All right. All those in favor of, I'm sorry, the $1,500? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm not comfortable with I'll be comfortable when he comes back with details.
Which
Right
is
now, I
fine,
just feel
Patty.
like
I'm
it's a-
sensitive to it, but, fortunately, we live in a democracy. So we
Absolutely.
vote, and not everybody has to agree. So,
Absolutely.
but thank you. And I will get this information. I'll let the mayor know I'm gonna bug you tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm staying, I said no. Everybody else was a yes in the room? Okay. All right, so continuing on, I think that was communications, and we can move into, facility and site that we skipped over.
No,
No, yes, yeah,
can
go
I,
ahead.
which would be communications, I think.
Yeah.
I'll put on my friend's past president hat for now. Just a thought, something for you to consider, regardless of the referendum date. If the Friends is having their fall book sale on the 25th to the 27th of October, consider a table with maybe a trifold with information about the renovation, about the needs of the library. You've got almost a captive audience because you're gonna have people in and out of there from Friday night through Saturday into Sunday.
Literally a week before the referendum, it goes in November.
The what?
It would literally be a week or so before the vote.
I don't think any information or any marketing is too much marketing.
I agree.
Book sales are perfect, and
Well, that's what I'm thinking, and nobody's gonna charge you for a table. I
That's nice.
can't imagine,
That's nice.
I can't imagine friends would do that. But,
but I mean, the Halo event you have coming up is another opportunity.
in September.
just getting information out there to the public with as many opportunities
So-
as possible.
To George's, comment earlier, what we really need to do is set aside some money, not for an individual event, but for marketing, getting printouts, getting things set up and ready to go.
What we need is to go back to that ALA presentation and put together a marketing strategy and schedule things out or make ourselves aware of all of these different
But also
events.
that goes back to my other question with,
We're gonna be doing things haphazard again if we don't put some structure to the.
didn't we contract with, the consultant to help us with a
Yes.
marketing plan? We paid her to help us, that was part of the, I say contract, I don't mean that, but that's part of what she initially sold that she was going to help us do. She said that she was gonna help us with the political marketing of the voting on the. That was
So she's
included.
paid by the town to do the grant. We didn't pay anything.
No,
You're talking about that's not
the grant.
Oh, you're talking about
That's not
Leslie.
Leslie.
Yes.
So that's something that she should be helping us with, is
Yes.
looking at how to create a marketing plan for people to be aware. And, because I'm just thinking about budget wise, if we are allocating funds aside, we have to allocate funds for printing of the renderings that we would potentially have with the literature that we'd be passing out. I mean, that, I think that we can start with what Andy's saying. We don't have to start with like everything all at once. We can plant the seed. And then as we increase and have more knowledge and what we vote on, what we've agreed as a board, to like what the renderings might look like, then we can sort of add those elements in. But I think that planting the seed now is, well, absolutely, we need to do.
So do we want to put to vote a certain amount of money not to exceed to start developing, and I don't mean like developing writing, but to have money aside so that when we know that we're ready to go to print, we have it.
I think we need to figure out what kind of things that we want to have for marketing and then get a guesstimate of those things. So, because I mean, we could go anywhere from $500 to $5,000.
Well, I would think that would be more the higher option.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, we need, you know,
I mean, I would put that.
My thought here is because of the nature of the way the committee works and motions go forward in authorization, this is gonna be something that is promotional for the expansion of the library. I would suggest perhaps a motion that gives not open-ended, but a higher figure. So because of the timing element, trying to get this board to do things is very difficult in the summer months. So even an email vote sometimes just kind of gets lost in people's emails and doesn't get responded to. If we were gonna have to authorize things individually. We're gonna have a group of people who are going to work forward, and I would assume that would be the case across the summer, they're going to be able to have access. Obviously not unlimited, but I would not hesitate to maybe start with a figure of a not to exceed figure of $5,000 for promotion of the referendum expansion project, whatever we want to call it. We may spend none of it, but at least it would be available for if something, say at the end of June or moving forward, there's another concept that comes to us after some planning gets done. So we have a better idea of concept, but at least then we're free to spend it versus, okay, we have this concept, now we've hit a screeching halt because we have to send out an email. Vote to approve that. That would be my suggestion.
And that money would be available if we don't go to referendum, that's still available money for.
Does that expire?
Getting the message
Time
out.
or no?
No,
So this would be separate, not to be combined with the proposal for Parks and Rec that was just passed.
So basically
We
giving a
have
budget,
1,500 for that. and
this
then
would
we
be
have an
giving a
additional
budget to communications. To
Communications is
Fiona
promotional.
and Christine
It's promotional.
for,
I guess I am.
Well, I don't know what you're taking it on, but I would consider it
But I
promotion expenses. Now, whether that falls under
It's a board
communication or
effort.
advertising or whatever, it would be the overall encompassing and not to exceed, so funds would be available if needed.
And then how do we determine that we're ready to go forward with a print campaign or something? Do we then have to vote for that over email or can?
Yes, but you'd at least have the money allocated.
you know, this event is coming up. We should advertise at that, like, if it's the,
And we have a
Book
cost
sale.
of this printer for X amount.
Well,
of
and it's similar to
Yeah.
what we did with the printings for, the different flyers that you had that you put in footprints and stuff like that. We didn't always have the finalized, print, but we had that.
Okay.
Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion, separate motion to approve up to $5,000 to kick off advertising materials? Promotional, materials?
I'll do it.
George, so seeing as it was your idea?
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's a good one.
Yeah, not to exceed 5,000 for phone call towards the renovation of the library.
I'll
Do we have a
second.
second?
I'll second.
Fiona seconds? Any discussion?
That's a not to exceed, right?
Not to exceed 5,000 at this point. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Good points, all. Let's see, so, facility and site,
Okay, I sent the link of the latest update.
Maureen, before you get into that, could I just raise one other item? Diane, where do we stand with the easement for the electronic sign?
I've gone no further than to, talk to the majority caucus, and they seem to be in favor of that, but I didn't get in touch with the town manager.
The town attorney, not the town attorney, you were gonna ask our attorney what he thought about that?
About an easement, but I didn't get clarification from the town manager that that's needed or the other, so I haven't gone any further than talking to the majority.
Could you do me a favor and talk to our attorney, because I already spoke to the town attorney. So the question is, you had a concern as to would our attorney think that that was a good idea? If you could ask him that question,
Yeah,
and then I think we can move forward.
so, in order to do that would cost us money. Andy, if you wanna explain what you've done behind the scenes?
Okay, I apologize, I thought this was brought up while I was away. Okay, so we have this challenge of getting, an electronic panel for the bottom section of our sign on Cedar Street. Because we are, privately owned. So unlike the fire department where the building and land is owned by the town, we claim that the building and land is owned by us. And we have made that argument innumerable times, so we can't change our story now. So I sat with the town planner and the assistant town planner and asked them, how do we go about doing this? Because they're in favor of it. It's just a matter of, how can they present it and we present it to TPZ and they can actually act favorably for us. And what they came up with was grant an easement to the town to, modify, maintain, whatever adjectives we want to have or verbs we want to have to, for the sign, which already is the case since the town erected that sign. And if it needs any work, it's the town that does it. So the easement that we might grant is really just affirming something that already happened. And it would be, for a very small piece of land, and it would not give up our rights to ownership of that sign or the land. It would just give them an easement to do what they need to do. And according to Paul Dixon, that would be sufficient.
I have a question. And isn't there some history here where the town facility came to us initially to ask about an electronic sign?
Yeah, TPC shut it down because at the
No,
time
I know,
they didn't like, they didn't
But
accept
then,
electronic signs.
didn't they approach us about using some CIP money or something at one point and no?
Yeah, I'm not talking about who pays for it.
No, but I thought somebody approached us.
Yes, at one time we were approached by town.
Okay, so there is some
Saying that
history there.
when we renovated, when we repaired / renovated that sign, did we want an electronic portion on the lower end? Because changing the letters and numbers there now is truly a big hassle and it's not easily done. And it was shot down at that time by TPZ because the only electronic sign was the high school, which they did on their own. And the only variance TPZ had given to that were gas stations along the Berlin Turnpike and what have you, to be able to change the price of gas more easily. Since then, not only does the high school have electronic signs, but they're going up at the fire department. Now, they're saying that they've got rid of that, it's not a conflict because it's a town building.
No, but I just wanted to reestablish the fact that the whole idea of the electronic sign originally originated from the town.
Right, a facilities manager who didn't know the rules. But so he had the idea, but he didn't realize the TPZ restriction. But we now have been presented with a way around that. And TPZ seems amenable to having town buildings, to have informational type signage that can be kept current. So if you could ask, is it Peter? What's the name of it?
Peter,
Yeah, you could ask Peter Alter if he sees any issues with us doing that. That would be very helpful moving forward.
so we don't have him on retainer, he's the one that did the agreement for the parking lot. So I would need approval, to spend monies to consult with him.
I actually don't think we need him. It was just, remember you raising a concern that you thought we should have somebody in our corner. It's pretty easy easement to
So,
draft.
so my summary on that is you never go to your father-in-law's attorney for your divorce. Right? So it's always good to have, differing opinions, it's always good to have someone look at it or write the language accordingly. Unless the town attorney has written language that you want us to look at.
So Alter charges charges us about $250 an hour,
$325.
$325, so 2 hours.
If,
I can't imagine it would be 2 hours for him to.
I think it would be a simple a question over the phone and he could give us a quick answer and, well, my experience with him is that he's.
Yes, do we have anything written for him to look at, or is it just a question? What's the question? My experience with lawyers is it can be a quick phone call that says, okay, I'll look at it, get me more information, so.
Well, we
What's the
shouldn't call
word?
him until we have that information. So when you say easement to me means land, but that's not what we're talking about.
Property, easement for the property. I will draft easement language. And we can pass that on to Pete. How's that? Okay. Yeah, I did this for the town for
Do we need a
Market
motion?
Square.
We need something.
I make a motion that Annie be directed to draft some easement language regarding the updating of the Cedar Street sign to include electronic, period. The easement language should then be, provided to Attorney Altman.
No, I
Alter,
think the library's attorney, because
The
the
library's
Walter's
attorney.
not
Okay.
interested or he's away. You know, I get that
All right,
specific.
Diane.
Library
So
attorney.
So that the language would then be, provided to
Library's attorney.
the library's attorney for review. Period, right? For review and opinion.
Honestly, I don't think a motion is required for a board member to do a little outside work. And bring it to the board, but that's up to you guys.
No,
I think
it's
the
not
motion is-
required for you, the motion is required for paying a
Oh,
lawyer.
okay.
Second.
Thank you, Fiona. Any discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those four unanimously. Thank
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
No, that was important.
Okay, so now are we ready for facilities?
Okay. The latest draft link was sent. Did everybody get it? I only received it, you know, right at the top of the meeting.
PM today.
Oh, what?
So Lisa has
Okay,
it,
today.
she's gonna bring it up on this screen
Oh,
here,
great.
so if you guys want to look over there.
So I know that you haven't had a lot of time to review it. What I'd like to propose, and you know, it might be all that, is that we call a special board meeting that we would have to have because we need we couldn't just have a facility and site meeting, a committee meeting, we need a board meeting because a vote needs to be taken. You know, change
And the vote would be to bring,
how, you know, I think there needs to be a lot of discussion, obviously just the email discussion that we've had, you all have had good comments, good insight, but nothing is, pulled together in one document. So my thought would be that people have time to really examine this. Chris Riley had some very good points, Anna, Andy, look at what everybody has said. And maybe we do need to have a meeting that's devoted just to this.
I think we do.
And, again, there's different thoughts here that we're not ready to go to referendum. Some of us think we may or will be. But I think that we need to work towards that goal. What I'd like to see is that we come up with something to give to the town council. Well, we, via LARC, they're the presenting body.
Renovations and renovation thing.
And then put it in the council's hands, if the council says, come back to us with $10 million less or $10, whatever. But they're the yay or nay people. And we're not going to, if the council says, we're not ready, you're not ready, well, there's our answer for that, moment in time. It doesn't mean we stop thinking about it or working on it. And that $5,000 that we've allocated will go toward future publicity. But what do people think? I don't think we can certainly vote on anything tonight.
I have a question. I know this has been explained and I can't recall. So if LARC presents it to the council, is that a public meeting?
Yes.
The council meeting is public.
The presentation.
Lark is too.
LARC is,
Well, LARC,
Just
anybody
like
can-
our meetings are.
Yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah.
And if the council has to vote on whether or not it could go to referendum.
Yeah, they have to review it, they have to have a public
Oh, they have to
hearing.
look at it.
Yeah.
They decided they wanted to move forward, they'd have to have a public hearing.
Right.
Then at that point, and this all has to happen by that September 1st deadline,
For November.
if it was gonna go into this November's referendum.
Dave and
Which would be
Kim,
November 4th.
when you have the public hearing, what comes first, the horse or the cart, or the cart or the horse? Do you all, as council, look at the presentation and come back with questions and then have a public hearing with more information, or is the public hearing right from the?
No, I would say there's the present and I know we've talked a little bit about this and it can get very confusing because there's so many steps in the process, but you all would come before the council with this presentation, and I think in one of the LARC meetings, or maybe one of these meetings, that the designer, Leslie, the designer and the architect would be available
Yes.
via Zoom to answer any questions. So it would be an initial opportunity for the entire council to be able to see this presentation, to hear the concept, and to be able to ask questions. There would be no vote taken. This
Right.
would be would be new business, so you couldn't take a vote. After that, there would be a public hearing. And that's usually prior to, tomorrow night, we're having the public hearing prior to our council meeting.
Yeah, public hearing is on,
Which one?
tomorrow's public hearing is on what?
The emergency operations center.
It was decided at all because many things happened that weren't planned.
Including communication problems and
So-
everything else.
It was decided during a public hearing, by the mayor, and the council agreed to have a second public hearing.
Okay.
Out of fairness, because there were all kinds of communication things, AI and various other things that
Okay.
we want to make sure there. And so the council does not make a decision until there is a public hearing. usually there is only one.
And that would be
some-
a separate meeting or incorporated in
No,
here?
it can't be the
It's a
same.
public hearing,
Regular
it's a
agenda.
separate meeting.
But it's prior to, usually prior to a council meeting, like
council
tomorrow
meeting.
night.
So there would be the presentation, the public hearing, and the town council moves on the action. If they move
Right.
to put it into referendum,
Mhm.
then it has to go to the stage as a referendum. If they make some other movement, if it comes back or.
If there,
questions or a
if,
second.
yes, if there are more questions that the councilors and or the mayor have, then there would be further discussion.
And it's tossed back.
And it's not unusual to have multiple public meetings based on the questions that are raised.
Right.
And this particular council really likes to hear from everybody and bends over backwards to give opportunities. So I think we should expect there will be multiple.
Well,
public
and
hearings.
so but the town council discussion of potential questions coming back to LARC only happens after the public hearing,
Right.
right?
Well, it
Yeah,
will,
it could happen during the
it could happen,
It can happen before as well.
yeah,
Well,
there
from your
could be
first, it's not your
discussion.
Oh, it
initial.
could happen.
Yeah.
The initial, it could happen.
Whatever that
But more
presentation
could be
is.
generated from the public hearing.
Exactly.
But you could,
Because
but you could
there-
This
actually.
provides multiple opportunities, because the initial presentation would be to the council, and of course, anyone that's listening or public that's present in the council chambers. So there could be, and I
Some
would
give and
hope
take.
that there would be, discussion that could then go back to LARC. There would also be discussion, and that's the whole purpose of a public hearing, so that other members of the public can come and have that opportunity to speak, which as counselors, we do not respond during a public hearing.
Right.
We
Oh, you just listen.
we listen, yeah,
It usually starts with some kind of presentation. It
Yeah.
may not be the full one that Clark would bring to the council, but just a mini explanation for those in the public who may not be aware, or those in the public that need to be refreshed about basic things, or maybe even information that we as a council asked and got answers to, or information that should
please
be shared
include.
before the public has a chance to speak. But as was just mentioned, we don't respond during the public hearing. The public hearing presentation, public hearing in terms of the public and what they have to say, questions or comments or whatever. Once
Okay.
it is,
So that's-
that is
But wait,
finalized, it's closed, and then usually, but not always, there is a council meeting afterwards if there's one scheduled at that time.
So, but that.
But there can't be a
council
public
still
hearing
respond.
without a council meeting after it.
But LARC, our consultants and us would respond to the public for
hearing.
whatever's raised. So those of you who remember back to the town hall project, there were a series of public meetings with the architect, engineers, and there were a lot of questions asked, and I don't know how many times that was continued, so that people could get their questions answered. I, for one, am very sensitive about making the council the bad guys. Of having the council say no to our process. We've got a number of hurdles, so next Tuesday is agenda setting for the 25th meeting.
Yes.
We might not get on the agenda.
Well, you have to say you were ready to.
Right, but the council, you know, the mayor and the majority leader, the minority leader might look at it and say, we don't want to put it on the agenda. That's it. They may put it on the agenda, talk about it, and say, we don't think it's ready. We never get to a public hearing now. We're not ready for this now. We don't want it.
But we.
I don't want that to happen either.
So here's the thing. The library needs to present to the library renovations committee. The library renovations committee looks at it, takes it, decides what they want to present, if they want to present to town council. Town council looks at it and does it. Put whatever year you want on this. Once we've gone through that process, the pictures that you see here may not be what's built. So as we look at this and we go, you know, in the northwest corner, there should be a purple dot over here, because that's gonna make things better. We're not we're not in control of that project to that detail. We need to make the
Argument.
the argument for what we need, what goes on, we need to give them our vision. But because I've got a window here, a chair there, a door there, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the final recommendation. So we want to give them the look, we want to give them the taste, we want to give them the reasons why. We want to sell the positivity, you know, what do we, the town, get out of this? What are we doing for this? And then move forward, because once it's approved in the referendum, they hire architects and go through and build all of that.
It's an
So
entire.
I just want you to be aware.
Committee.
It is.
It is not Lark anymore.
Lark has, but we also have to present to Lark and have them, they may come back to us with questions as well.
Absolutely.
So,
There are steps, you're right, and I think that's important to understand, is that there are steps in the process before it
Right.
comes to the council for the
But
first time.
can the agenda be set?
June 18th.
It's June 18th.
For the 25th.
Right.
And then can we
That's
ask,
for the 25th meeting.
can we be
Yes.
asked to be removed from the agenda next?
I'm sorry?
Be tabled?
Yes.
So if we could get on the agenda and then potentially be tabled, then we could at least perhaps be in the works. Again, I understand that it would be extremely optimistic to assume that we would be ready for all the ducks to line up for this, whether it's our work, then going to Lark, and then Lark being ready to present. But Lark potentially could ask for a spot on the June 20, whatever,
25th.
25th for the, by the 18th.
Who's the chair of what, by the way?
We don't have one.
We haven't
When we
voted
do
on
that.
it yet.
We
They
haven't
haven't
voted on
voted.
it because we haven't had a.
There's
full
an open position.
body.
So who's going to go to leadership to make this?
Well,
request
this
the other
next
agenda?
meeting, we had determined we would be electing a chair.
And the next meeting is Thursday?
Well, we had canceled one on the 6th. Because we didn't really have anything ready for them. So it would be the 13th,
This
Thursday.
Thursday.
this Thursday.
Yeah,
So we have to get in touch with Lauren.
We have a lot going on Thursday.
So that's where we are, that's what the timeline is, that's what we're talking about. So when we look at this presentation, look at it in terms of, is this a good advertising piece? Does it get across our concerns and our wants for the library? Let's not get dragged down with what's in what corner, what's here and there. Is this going to meet the needs of the new library?
Approval or not is not going to depend on the color of the curtains.
Right, that's right.
I can guarantee that. Can't guarantee much else, but I can guarantee that.
Lark has to come ask the council by the, by the 18th, prior to the 18th.
They have to actually, I think with your new rules, they have to ask by the 19th, right? The Friday before agenda setting? It has to get into.
Well, agenda setting is the
The agenda
18th,
setting is the 18th.
18th, so the 14th.
so we have to
So
ask.
the Friday the 14th, it has to go
I would say
to,
to be, I'll check back with John and with Jamie.
has to get to Heather, I think, by the 14th.
Yeah, but we can check with John and Jamie to find out.
I know the decision is made on that Tuesday, and I know some things have been added and deleted at that time.
Yeah.
So I guess that was one of my questions. If we, by the 14th, indicate to the council, Lark indicates to the council that they want
Mhm.
to be on the agenda for the 25th meeting.
Hmm.
What would be the rationale with the council to say you can't be on our agenda?
Well, one of the things would be to say that we have pressing matters that have to be taken care of
Okay.
immediately. At the moment, I don't know, everything's there at the moment, because we're not.
So-
We'll find
Yeah.
out, we'll find out on Tuesday
But
night.
at the moment, well, that's true
Potentially,
too.
so do people understand the steps that are involved now? Okay. Do you think we're ready to look at this and determine if we're ready to hand this off to Lark? They have seen some preliminary drawings.
I will say that just looking at this second page, knowing it's from, so the number of cardholders, and might seem innocuous, but the town is approximately, what, 30,000 people? We have, right now, the number is just over 13,000 number, and it's from 2021, which
Right.
seems like a long time ago, considering how,
It is.
I feel like we need to get some updated numbers, some of the things.
We got a document that we couldn't open from Leslie, so we will update.
They have
those
updated
numbers.
statistics.
Okay.
We have them, but we can't open them, so, we put the cry out for that. So if we can look at this, look at the way that we, gave them the feedback at the last facility meeting that we had, when we had, Andy and Leslie on the call with us. Is that the concept you're going with? Anna?
I have a question for Maureen. You sent out a link like last Thursday, Friday, whenever.
And then an updated one today.
Right, and so, and were there changes made to the document from Friday to today? What changes were made?
You know what? I really don't know. I know there were changes.
She just got it, Marcia.
No, I know, but
So is the updated one here?
No, I don't think there's changes, it's just a new link that doesn't expire. I think that's,
no, it said
No, it
7 days.
expires.
It
It will
said 7
expire.
days. Okay,
Can
so, like,
we just go through this and see?
can I just?
Yes.
Finish asking? Thank you. Sorry. So and the communications that went back and forth between you and Andy and whoever else. This shows 31 slides. The one on Friday was 31 slides. This one is 31 slides. Andy's list of changes, recommended changes, referenced 37 slides.
I added them.
You added those. Oh,
We deleted it.
all right.
I deleted and added, and I can see that right off the bat that my comments were ignored. At least
Your
that one.
comments didn't come in early enough to be shared with them and come back.
They weren't ignored, they just.
They didn't come in early enough. We got this thing Saturday night. I responded Sunday morning.
Right. Right. I understand.
How much faster could I have done it?
I mean, I can see how mine.
And what
was.
did they change
But-
then?
I don't know. I've only seen one page and I had asked for that page to be moved to an appendix.
Okay. Can we
But to
quickly,
your question, Diane,
Mhm.
are we ready?
are we ready to look at these pictures quickly? Because I think
Oh, we're ready to
at
look.
8:45,
Okay, well,
I'd like to look at this quickly. If we need another meeting, to discuss just this, then I think we have to call it quickly and get going to look at those.
well, time is pretty tight because if agenda setting is the 18th and we have to have that request.
No,
Laura
Laura
Okay.
has to have that request.
Lark
So we
has to have the
we have
request.
to ask Lark.
Well, I don't.
You're not gonna get it done in 4 days. And then let's be realistic.
We should continue to move on. We should continue to review this. I agree with Chris that we should take this opportunity to amp up our game and set some real deadlines and deliverables. This has been great. This has been great. We finally are moving forward on it. And this latest presentation is the best we've seen yet.
I like the way it looks.
But it needs a lot more. And there are just a ton of unanswered
So
questions,
maybe,
not the least of which is the cost.
so maybe the question is tonight, shall we just continue? You know, we certainly don't want to put a stop to our expansion plans, but should we put a stop to the 25th being our deadline to get it for referendum?
Yes.
So that means we're not on referendum this year, because.
Well, this is the question. Do
It's
we,
more important
as a
to do it
board,
right.
do we want to not proceed with a referendum for this year? Or do we? You know, that's
We want the referendum, but
we want it.
my point is, it's more important to do it right than it is to do it fast.
I think we need to know,
If we do it fast, we're gonna lose. We're not
and
gonna get
if you
council
lose
support.
referendum, you can't bring another one in.
You can,
I mean,
You can,
but
but it's gonna cost about $33,000.
To do
Or
it
you have to
separate
wait
from
for
an
the
election.
Yeah,
To
see,
wait
there's
for
the
the
other
election.
consideration. Do we wanna wait, that would be what, another 2 years?
No,
Next year, it would be next November if we wanted it on.
There's one in
There's
November.
the municipal elections next year,
November 4th.
November 4th. And that would be like this one in terms of applying for one next year.
So
Or-
And there would,
You
and there would be no charge, there would be no additional
No
charge. If
additional
you wanted to do it at any other time where it would be a separate election only for this
Yeah,
referendum
I understand
question,
that.
then that would be 33,000.
There's an
Well, actually,
election,
With the new rules, I think it's now close to 40,000 with the extended.
Whatever,
It's a lot of money.
whatever the amount is, it's a big chunk of money that the town has pays for.
there's an election this November,
Yes.
Right.
which is
State.
presidential, right? And then a year later, there's the
There's
municipal.
municipal
So
election.
it's a year.
Yeah, it's
That is-
Every year there's an election.
But Maureen,
Different.
it's gonna take us a number of months to get this plan the way we want it. And then with a sustained marketing campaign, which we're kicking off now and running for 12 months. We already talked about this. This is the opportunity to build the support so that by the time it gets to the council, they feel that they're bulletproof in advancing it to referendum.
Yeah, and I do love that. I was just trying, I wanted to make sure I had dates straight. It's a year. If we don't make this year's election, it's only a year until the
This
next
next, it would
opportunity.
be in November of 2025.
And then the same timeline backing up.
15
hours.
Yeah.
Right. I just want to throw something out here, and again, I know it's being extremely optimistic that we potentially could be on this November's ballot. I get that. I think just from we have that added step, it's not like we're going to council, we have this alert aspect of it and the whole 9 yards. Plus the deadlines and all the hearings so that everyone gets what they need. I agree we should be prepared. To Diane's point, whether it's purple or whether it's green, doesn't matter, because eventually when it gets to the building committee, concept goes, it's primarily what the thought process is and not what the renderings and everything else look like. It starts all over again with new contractors, architects, etc. They go out to bid for an architect. And also what people continually forget in construction is they're not just about design, it's about, since we're dealing with an existing building, existing conditions and things, plus costs. So all that changes. So what you see isn't necessarily what you're gonna get. I agree we should go forward. I have a concern simply because of our historical abilities or the way we handle things as the committee. I don't want us to lose focus, even if we're not going to be here in November on the referendum. We need to continually work to the point that this is important, that we can't just say, well, oh, we're not gonna do anything, so we're gonna take the summer off. It's gotta keep moving forward. If we're going to do it, whether it's this November or next November, we need to be working forward and not let things slide, which is unfortunately has a tendency to happen when we don't have deadlines.
Can I just
Well,
ask
I
a
think there
question?
is a deadline.
Can I ask a question about, okay, so if we all agree that these are renderings and potentially could change, ultimately, what are we voting on? When we look at these images back, like, what are we all agreeing on? And what is the language that we're gonna be giving to people in town about what this is? I think we all have to, first of all, I think we all have to agree, like, because and I'm doing this too, like, what's the language? Are we saying the library reimagined? Are we saying a reimagined like, those are like the little, like, nuanced things that I think that, like, and if this could change colors and all that, and I totally understand that, what are we ultimately agreeing on when we're looking at
We're
these?
selling a concept. We're not selling an actual building, we're selling a concept.
Right, so how are we, what's the concept? So how are we agreeing to that
The
concept?
wording is, this is what it could be. And in it, we could do this, and this.
But, so we have to agree on what those thises are,
Right.
and we all have
Yeah.
to agree and have a
This is
list
how
of
we
what that
could
is.
meet needs
And
that
we
we're
have
not
to,
gonna get today.
as a group, as the
Agreed.
board, we have not agreed as a
So
board.
really, the question at hand is, are we going to put this request for referendum for this November on hold until the next election, really. And then obviously keep moving forward, keep working on refining our
We can get this
Concept.
ready.
concept.
We can figure out when the next strategic date is to make that presentation. So that we know I would guess after this November election, we can get a date. And then we would know that we're going to be on the referendum in November.
The
And
following of them.
the following November of 2025. And we have our marketing strategy in place to try to pull in those 3,501 votes that we need. And that's what we need.
So again, tonight, the
Yeah.
question, what we need to vote on is not this presentation, but whether we are going forward with refining this presentation for presentation to Lark and the council for this year or not.
I think not, but we should still be we'll still be working on refining it.
Yes.
I didn't say
No,
that we're
I
gonna
know,
stop.
No, I'm saying we should say
No.
yes.
Okay, somebody worded.
Leanne, you have your hand up? Again, yes, I've been around way too long. I've been on several building committees for various projects in town. One of the largest ones was the 4 schools in the early 2000s. And I will say this, Ernie was the superintendent, and obviously a driving force behind that. But the committee that was in place that we were looking at, I was on 2 of the 4 eventual building committees for that particular grouping. But prior to that, to get it to the town, to make it so that they addressed 4 schools at one time with 1 vote referendum. When they went forward with it, we were working for, we weren't going to make that first November grouping. And it was a concerted effort of PTAs and other assorted folks. We did not say, okay, it's not gonna be this November, and now we're not gonna present it to council or what have you until next summer. The presentation was made to council at like February.
Right.
So that February to November was a sales pitch. So that's my thinking is, even if we aren't aiming at this November, we continue the work so that as soon as we're ready, we go to Lark. And Lark goes to the council, and then they have the time for their consideration, public hearing and the whole thing, and it's not like we're gonna have to make this deadline and.
So should we set a deadline for this coming year then?
Well, I think
Or
there
is
has
that
to
to
be,
town council?
No, we continue to work.
But I think we said we need a deadline. We just said we need a deadline. If we wanna say we're gonna do marketing for 6 months after we present to town council, then I think we need to pick a town council meeting for this coming year. That's our deadline.
okay. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm done. Sorry, yes.
Okay.
Well, there would also remember the consultation to Lark, let Chris speak, please.
Okay.
So that would be our deadline.
Okay. It's a twofold situation right now. First of all, you want to vote to see if we move forward right this second to go to this November. Or do we choose to go to next November? That's the first thing. The second thing is to set dates in place with a special meeting of the committee or whoever for like key dates. This is what we're gonna do by this date, this is what we're gonna do by this date, this is what we're gonna do by this date. To be prepared to do the push. That's what you need to do. So it's 2 separate things that need to be decided. No more talking, make the vote what she's looking for. She's looking for an answer whether or not to move forward this year.
That's one vote.
That's for one thing. Then to set up another meeting to put in place a plan of action. That's the second goal. And that's it. And then that's what you, where and when you make those decisions.
Can I amend that? At that plan of action meeting? That's when we review this thing. We don't have, it's going on
But
9
we can't
o'clock.
review.
We're not gonna review it tonight.
Presentation.
Plus, I don't,
I said that right.
I don't see any, this is like the first one you sent, I haven't seen the second one. Or many of us don't even know that there was a second one. So,
I'll make a motion that we continue to work toward this project, however, not being constrained with the current agenda guidelines. So notifying, which would include notifying Lark that we're continuing to work in this file. Is that sufficient?
Well, again, I don't know that we need a motion. We just agree among ourselves. It does not appear practical that we can go forward and meet all of the deadlines required to get to referendum this year with a plan and a product, however conceptual it might be, but it's got to have enough meat that people are willing to support. But let's take this opportunity, let's just shake our heads. Let's take this opportunity now that we've got the consultants actually paying attention to us to keep using them and get this product to the point where we like it. And we would endorse it and we would bring it to Lark. And at this point, I don't know who communicates with Lark, tell them, we're gonna take a pause. You don't have to meet, we're gonna take a pause.
Well, we would be as the committee, Lark would be, and that will be the
Consensus.
point of discussion at that meeting. I think we need to vote on this. I think there needs to be consensus, not just a.
And can I just say one thing before we take a vote? Historically, we've gotten this close. We decide we're not ready. We make the reasoned decision to get our ducks in a row. And then we fall apart. We need a commitment from everyone on this board to follow through, to take on tasks and follow through with some of those tasks to get them done. And it's gonna be over the long haul. The last facility meeting we had, 3 people showed up. You know, we've gotta have commitments and go through and figure out what's happening. Whether it's a push for this November or it's a push for the following November, we've got to keep our eye on the ball and we've got to keep moving, no matter what your dates are or whatever else happens. Because what happens is, I'm not on facilities, or it's not this, or it's not that, then we get to the board and nobody knows what's going on. And our board meetings have tended to be committee meetings for a lot of things. So I think we need our chairs to call the meetings. And we need our participants to go in. When it's something as important as this and it's opened up to more board members, certainly if you can come, that helps. We've got to go through and it will help shorten some of these meetings as it goes in. So just be aware, no matter what your vote is or your timeline, we need to stay on track this time.
I do think that if we set a deadline for a presentation to Lark, that will, you know, I'm thinking about my students, if they don't have a deadline, they're just gonna keep talking about it. And extraneous things fall away when we know we have a deadline. We're presenting on this day. If we can't all come to an agreement by then we're really gonna be in trouble. Like, I think we need to, it's like backwards design. That's the date. What can we get done in between now and then? Some things, so we're all not gonna get everything we want with this. We have to come to an agreement and then present to them on that day, because they're gonna have feedback that we need to then incorporate it into a presentation to town council as well. So we need to have work time in between those 2 presentations.
January 2020.
That's actually a good time because we don't have the 5K preparation happening in the spring, which takes up a lot of everyone's time. So the fall could work better.
So, and a couple of things that I think we need to look at in the meantime is identifying and reopening any kind of grant applications that we can do.
I was just gonna say that the structural engineering thing, we have to get that done. That whole state grant is a whole process where you have to attend certain meetings, need to be considered for the grant application. Which
Right.
starts, I think, more in April, right? Wasn't that what we did?
Yeah, we missed the boat this year.
No, but I'm just saying that you have deadlines for that, but that's the only thing that held us up last time, was that we didn't have.
Yeah,
structural
and
engineering.
one of, Eric Hinckley, who's on Lark, he is going to put us in touch with, a structural engineer.
Kim, you have any comment?
A suggestion that, and you may have already thought about this, and I think it probably falls into one of the LARP meetings that, and we're both on that as well, that we consider pulling in or inviting to a meeting, our two state reps, Gary Turco and Kate Farrar, and our state senator, Matt Lesser, who, if there's state money to be had, they'll try their best to shake it loose. So that you're already starting to think about where some of this funding is gonna be coming from.
And Kim, I agree with you.
People are gonna wanna know, okay, this is the price tag. Who's paying for it? Where's that money coming from?
There's some.
I'm sorry,
This concept is so revolutionary for Connecticut. If I can get everybody in this room to agree that we should build the capital letters library of the future, I think we can get $10 million out of the state as a demonstration project for all libraries in the state to cover. So I completely agree with you that once we get our act together and we have a whiz-bang, kick-ass concept that they can get behind, they would gladly do so.
well, and I think we all know, you know, how devoted our legislators are to Newington and will really work hard for us and with us, and I can't speak for Dave, but I certainly would be willing to reach out and have a conversation.
Thank you. And I see your hand up, and then I think we need to come to a vote on the timing of which referendum we're gonna go for, Anna?
All right, so, somebody said something about attending site facility and site meetings. You know, and I have not been made aware of any of those dates, so if those dates could be shared with us, if
I will beg to differ. Whenever I've had a facility and site meeting, I've sent the email to the entire board.
I have not gotten one.
Well, I
I have not seen, except for one time, I have not seen anything. So,
So we'll make sure that all of the names are on the emails as it goes out, so folks are aware if you've got comments or, information. and
I've
stuff.
gotten the information on this, and my response today on the PowerPoint presentation, because Andy's list of changes is so long, I had a hard time figuring out what was what and where, and I think that I made
Fair
an
enough.
offer. If we could get the working copy of this PowerPoint presentation, perhaps Andy and I could sit together, incorporate his changes, and then send it back to Vincy to do the photo additions or whatever changes that need to be made that we can do, but there's just so many tweaks and moving pages. There's no way.
now there's time to do it.
Sorry?
Now there's time to do it.
Yeah,
We can ask, the other thing that we can do is we can print out copies, you can make your additional slides, and then, we can scan it and send it back to them. If they're protecting their property, I don't know if they are. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
when we ever find out about that, by the way? Chris raised a good question. Who owns it?
The PDF, I think we have the PDF once we present it, that's it, but it's a PDF. It's
But the
not
work
CAD.
product itself, the 2 years or 3 years we've been working with this team, who owns that?
I believe it's us, we'll ask Andrew again. but
And
it's
we need
us.
to get it.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be a whole lot easier if Andy and I just sit there together and move these pages around and. Cause I couldn't follow all of his notes.
Really?
so let's just get the meeting back on track. we're looking for a vote of, are we going to aim to, get on the referendum for 2024? Or are we gonna aim to get on the referendum for 2025, right? Is that where we are, Maureen?
Yeah, I don't know if it should be worded that way.
No, it can't, because it's hard to vote yes or no.
I think the wording should be, you know, we need to vote to, put this project in abeyance for the November 24th election and move forward or look forward to the November 2025 election. But you know, in a nice way of saying, we're not gonna do it now. You know, however that better wording would be.
How about, I'll make a motion that the current,
Jessica Harlow.
the current work.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Excellent. That the Library Board and Facilities Committee will continue to work and refine the concept for the library additions and renovations without being held to the construct of a November 2024 referendum.
No, that's still vague. I'm sorry, I think, you know, we need to say, the library board of trustees is voting to not go forward with a referendum request for the November 2024 election.
Second.
Can you repeat that,
That was half a second ago, I knew that was gonna happen. The library board, is, the recommendation for the board is to not go forward with the referendum question for expansion for the 2024 November election.
Still second.
I'm in favor.
I was gonna say, I hate to ask this, any discussion? Okay, ready for a vote? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And then another vote is, it's too premature to make a vote right now with two set dates. That will be done in the very near future.
I think we need to have a meeting. And one of the first items that we have to do is to whether the goal is January of 2025 for completion, we have to have goals within that. That this needs to be done so we can, because remember, we are not operating in a vacuum. One of the things that we're doing here is we're putting work on hold. That is the town committee. They don't have anything from us. Then they are basically suspended again, much like they were previously. We don't want that to happen for very long, or we're back to where we were previously.
Can I ask a really quick question? Once we present to LARC, what's our time frame from presenting to LARC, getting questions, and then presenting to town council?
We can present to Lark can ask us questions, we can continue to work with them throughout. We can have a monthly meeting instead of, you know.
But just thinking of what you're
bi-weekly
saying,
meetings,
just kind of
stuff
keeping that
goes through.
conversation going.
Because
instead.
we can do the presentations, because they're the ones that really decide when we move forward.
So I will be in touch with the chair, with the town administrator who manages work. And update her on what's going on, and then she can call a meeting where we would have the discussion with Laura.
Okay, so, there's still gonna be a Lark meeting, we need to update them on this and our timeframes and maybe give them the initial they've seen some things, some earlier drawings and stuff that we talked about. We need a facilities meeting called to set dates, and I think it should be a joint meeting between communications and facilities, because we're gonna have to figure out what the projects are that we're doing and kind of go forward with that. I would ask that everybody on the board be notified of those meetings, so that if someone has something that they want to bring up and mention, it can be part of a conversation or part of an email, please make sure that we've got the, professional engineer, the structural engineer thing, right? Let's not forget that, so, as that goes, and that's just a for instance, for somebody putting that out.
And at some point, we need a race recap meeting.
We need a race recap meeting, and we need to finish our agenda for tonight.
Can I just ask quickly, when is the next large meeting? Is it going to be this
I don't know.
Tuesday?
I'll contact Lauren tomorrow.
Okay.
That's good, the 13th, we have 2 or 3 different things on that night that we have to do, and commitment that we made a long time ago.
So it shouldn't be this Thursday. Or you guys aren't there, although you guys are pretty much up to date. But even if it's next Thursday, given what we've just determined
Yeah,
here, it should be.
We have some wiggle room with them.
Okay, but you'll let us know. We'll send out.
Well, Lauren.
Lauren will send out, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll let you know. Usually things are not as busy this time of the year for council and meetings.
But for some reason it
For
is.
some reason, everything is.
For some reason, there are like 2 or 3 committee meetings all on the same day at almost the same time.
Yes.
All right, so are we good? I'm gonna continue on through the agenda. Old business, Newington 5K road race recap. I think we just said that we were gonna postpone that to a separate meeting. But if you guys could jot down what worked and what didn't work, I know my biggest thing is, we had no problem getting the signs out, but we never got somebody to pick them up again. So, and I still have a whole bunch in my garage that I'll have to drop off. Do we want to pick a date for that now, or do we want to find a date?
Can I make a suggestion with that?
Yes.
Could you just do a full Zoom meeting for that, so that?
Yeah.
Make it easier for everybody? Us
Yeah.
included?
Yep, it doesn't have to be on site, it could be a Zoom meeting, okay. So we'll do a full Zoom meeting on that, and, because it's a race recap, does it have to be special notice with,
I think you just have to, the agenda has to go out, what, 24 hours prior or something, or we just have to send an agenda out that it's a race recap meeting and the agenda. Recap the race, I mean.
that sounds like a good.
What can you say?
Okay. Are there dates that work or don't work for folks?
Why don't you just send out, I mean, because we have to see what's,
Okay, so we'll start with you guys.
Yeah.
You'll see what's available and then with the Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, then, Handle event 2024, we've got Lynn and Vinnie, Nat coming in on September 27th. I would ask that whoever can possibly come. And again, we do the setup and, we push everything into the far corners and then push back, so please, set that evening aside so that you can help, and in the middle of all the help, you can enjoy a nice concert.
And we're this close to finalizing the date with the sugar tones for December.
Okay? Great.
Can hear from them.
Okay, well, open board positions, we still have Republican town position open. So if you know anybody else that you'd like to have come join our
How many do
fun.
we have?
Two. Is that goes through?
And they're both Republican town positions?
Yes.
Yeah. And then under new business, the annual meeting is Monday, September 9th. Please put that in your calendars. For newer members, what happens is we have what we call a business meeting, which is a very abbreviated meeting. Like this one, very abbreviated. So unlike this one, we have an abbreviated business meeting, before, and then the annual meeting starts at 7.
And at the abbreviated meeting, they usually have sandwiches.
They did.
No, not since COVID.
We haven't done
Or
that
about
since.
no sandwiches?
No,
Wait a second. What time is it?
Would not.
usually, so the business meeting is 6, it's usually 6 to 6:50, 6:45 really. To give us a chance to, clear out or end before folks come in for the annual meeting at 7 o'clock. Once upon a time, a couple of years, we were having entertainment. Do we feel
No.
that we want?
How about a speaker?
Well, that's what I mean, entertainment, speaker, somebody.
I don't think we should have entertainment. We're entertaining enough.
Oh, so, what happens is we go through, the director gives a report, we go through the nominations and things like that, so then we would have a speaker. For those of you going to the Friends annual meeting, you'll kind of see how that works, right? They're gonna have their business meeting and do their elections, and then they'll have some kind of, speakerish entertainment. Event that goes through. So if we want to have something other than the purely, business meeting, we need to figure that out now.
For
or
new
figure it out.
members, if I may, the annual meeting is a report from the library director, the president, you know, it's like a recap of what's been going on for the last year. And the elections are held, and then, there's recognition of volunteers. And,
Which is what Anna pushed out.
Right,
Those
she
are the
gave us
topics.
that list. And then, a speaker. Perhaps, we haven't always had speakers.
No.
It hasn't been.
Well, we started doing it before COVID because we thought it would, attendance for our annual meeting has dropped. So we thought having a speaker would help bring people out. But we.
With the exception of the Gina Baraka for our 80th, it didn't really pan out.
Yeah, well, and, you know, really, the Friends have had. I've been to, you know, a lot of the Friends annual meetings, and if I may be so bold as to say they were a little more interesting than ours. Because they weren't so, I mean, they did their business and then they had a good speaker or something. And we had never done that. Ours was just another business meeting. And town, you know, the town folks are invited, counselors, mayor, town manager.
We have little refreshments for the public.
Yeah, cookies and lemonade.
We're only 2 weeks
Okay, we'll
away
be
from
there
the
then.
meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's 2 weeks beforehand, so.
I mean, maybe I'm just tired, so, I think at this point, I don't think we need to add that to our plate right now, we have bigger fish to fry.
With, a speaker.
Yeah.
Fine.
So continue with the. I'm just looking for head nods, continue with the existing format, no additional speakers. Okay.
You and Lisa will be in that.
Captures. Okay, so
Your
again,
presentation.
nominations, right,
I do have a couple nominations for you already.
for the volunteers?
Volunteer.
Yeah, Pat Mahoney and Lee Bradley, they, been doing the deliveries to our homebound,
Mhm.
very, you know, religiously they're doing.
So give me the names again?
Pat Mahoney and Lee Bradley. Lee Bradley ran in the race.
Lee,
in the
I'm sorry.
80s.
I couldn't hear you, I've got something wrong with me.
Pat Mahoney, Patrick or Patricia?
No, Patricia.
She's a friend.
And I,
Capital F friend,
and possibly Saputo.
friend,
Diane.
or lowercase.
Saputo. Saputo.
Saputo? Under what category? Oh, corporate.
Corporate.
Or
race.
recognition.
Or race.
Race.
Well, actually, they also do for the friends. and
Yeah,
the
just
corporate.
corporate.
Yeah,
I would
corporate
prefer
would be-
Saputo.
that would be right.
I hadn't thought for a few myself.
Okay,
We can go through the list of sponsors and see who's done like, 10 years or 15 years or something like that. And
so sometimes it's real quick, you can pop out some names, but, if you guys wanna give some thought to that.
But I want you to keep in mind too, we've had some legacy. Now, some of these folks don't have any family left, but we've had some people leave us some substantial requests.
legacy is part of it.
They should probably be recognized, or at least, we can honor them. If no one comes from the family, then no one comes from the family, but there are a few folks who remember us.
Recently though, I mean,
Well, but we haven't really recognized them either.
well, we
Who's
did
your
Janice.
friend recognized?
Janice was
Yeah.
recognized.
Janice was recognized, but then we had, Maureen,
Maureen.
oh boy. They will come to me 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so why don't you make that list?
But
of
I'll make that
names
list and then we'll see if
distribute it.
those. And, another thought, and only because there's support across different things, and again, it's because I'm involved with him, is, Dean Spada and Kingston Wealth Management. They're a sponsor at the race. They're extremely supportive with our investment. I grant you, we pay them a fee, but it's a discounted fee, and they also provide our accounting services. And, they're always just a phone call away. Dean Spada.
Kingston Wealth Management.
So what category was that?
I was just thinking it's an other recognition. I don't,
That would be a good one, because they do more than just.
that's.
Special recognition.
Yeah.
And Lee Bradley was that? For
That's
the
just,
race?
No,
for-
that's delivery.
Homebound delivery.
It's homebound delivery, but I know his name from the race, and that's what they were.
Is that a
trying to-
library volunteer?
Yeah.
And the other person, also? Mahoney?
They do it, both of them do the same thing.
Okay.
So we can recognize them together.
Lisa, how important is the staff recognition to be a member of the library staff?
What do you?
Well, I'm thinking maybe Jamie Trevathan for her support for getting us the additional position funded this year.
It's usually library staff, as far as, I mean.
Well, I mean, if you have somebody that you think is,
Yeah, but that's
Particularly
kind of her
noteworthy.
job, isn't it?
well,
She didn't.
previous town managers have been saying, "Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't know."
I mean, these are just suggested titles, if we need to make one up, we can make one up.
Yeah, I think the staff. Okay, Maureen Oliver. Sorry, it just came to me.
Okay. So please give that some thought and, pass those names in. You can email them to me or to Lisa.
Sure.
Okay?
And we'll notify them early too.
Yes, we usually invite them to come. So annual meeting, we talked about recognition, we talked about entertainment. Coming up on public participation, anybody new in? No? Nothing? Good? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Everyone see, sick people? There you go, all right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, everyone, for your attention tonight. I know it was.
Thank you, everybody. This is.
We really will get to the point where, it'll just get.
Oh, I was gonna ask a question, Diane.
Yes.
If we're going to have a long meeting, we have to have more companies.
Yeah.